you to be able to only access very limited features. So in order for you to log in, or anyone else, you have to click the security login, and then you can set up your own username and passwords. We'll help set that up for you guys. Right now, for testing purposes, right now your password and stuff is temp. And you'll notice that right now in the top left corner, everything is grayed out. Right now, what you have permissions to do is now become black. So you have reporting software, so you can look at your historicals. You also have the ability, right now you can't click on any of the stations except for the main pump station. You can see what you have access to because it provides a little white halo around it, allowing you to visually see what you can actually access. So the two things you mainly have the ability to do is the historicals, and you can check out the main pump station. The main pump station, you can see this. I'm not sure how much of concern of this is to you, but you can actually see the status of the system. You can see if a pump's running. You can see if it fails. You can see the current, the flow rate right now. You can see wet well levels. You also can see the trending at a glance down here. If you're mainly concerned with the effluent flow, it'll be the black line. This at a glance just allows you to check 1 hour, 4 hours, 12 hours in one day. So this is real time, so it constantly is updating, I think every 5 seconds. If you click on this, you can then actually expand the trending, so you can actually look at the flow rate for right now it's set to 1 day, and you can extend it so you can look back the trending for 1 week of the flow rate, or whatever you're looking for at the main pump station. So this gives you the trending of the flow. And so, that's kind of just a very fast rundown of this. I'm thinking you're mainly concerned with the actual raw numbers, the historicals of the flow. Is that my understanding, Josh?
Yeah, we're essentially looking for gallons per minute readout, as well as just a 7-day totalizing historic and day-to-day type of thing.
Okay. So if you want more explanation on this, you can ask. I'll just run into what I believe is your main concern, which will be the access reports. And so, once again, the access reports, you had to log in order to access them. And once you go, it brings up Microsoft Office product. And what this does is this is how you will access the database that accumulates all the data. The way it's set up is once a day at a designated time, which is 7 o'clock in the morning at the moment. What it does is it takes all of the historicals, all the 24-hour window, and then it logs it to a database. This access reports is a graphical interface to allow you to be able to see that database in an organized fashion. So this is the same layout that Blue Spring Lake will also see, but you'll see once again stuff's grayed out, preventing you from accessing the rest of their system. You are limited just to the main pump station. So the controls that you'll see is the select range. We have some predefined. You can see 1 day, 1 week, 1 month, quarter, year. And then user selected will allow you to actually select a range between. But let's say if you want to look at a week, the way it's set up right now is all you have to do is click within that week, someday within that week, and it will grab the Sunday through Saturday of that week. And then over here you can click the print preview, and it will show you, this is what the print preview of it is. So the way this is set up is every single day. You can see how many pump starts, stops, but you're mainly concerned with the flow total on the far right here. So you can see how many K gallons have been pumped through in a given day. It's then totalized at the bottom to say during this time period, which we chose a week, you pumped 139 K gallons. The maximum we saw in a day is 31 K gallons, and you can find that up top for the Sunday value. That average, which takes all 7 days, and it finds the average. And then the minimum is 12, so 1 day out of what you picked, you only had 12 K gallons. Keep in mind this is obviously all garbage data I just threw in here for just kind of demonstrating the system. But that is how this is set up. You
So that's based off the flow meter, right?
that is based off, yes, the flow rate.
The flow rate on the flow meter.
The flow totalization coming out of the flow meter, not the rate, right? We're taking totalization pulses out and counting, not internally.
Do we have pulses? I was taking it off the flow rate.
Yeah, I don't think we had a pulse.
I don't think we have a pulse.
Was that shown? I mean, we can certainly do that, though.
Oh,
Yeah, we should probably do that, and we should have a backup system also that, it'd be a reporting value, a supplemental reporting value based upon runtime. And the reason why I did that, if the flow meter goes down, you still can get a calculation,
That'd be a good nine over.
so. So,
We can provide a pulse. The May has that, yeah.
yeah, the Meg
We
has
got it.
that, right, you should be able to do that.
Yep.
And the reason why I was saying pulse versus flow rate, there's some minor, it's not a big difference, but in accuracy. The flow rate, when you use a flow rate over time, you may be off like 1% or something like that. The pulse rate is more exact. That's the only reason.
if it's a flow rate, we actually calculate it, whereas a flow pulse,
Yeah.
the flow meter actually calculates it for us.
And the meter's capable of doing that. But we should add to that what I'd call a calculated value based on runtime, only as a backup.
Okay.
That should not be used for billing unless the meter is down, and the meter will go down periodically. So we can't,
What do we wanna call that? You wanna call that a calculated or runtime,
runtime flow,
just so we differentiate between the two?
yeah,
So basically just have
yeah.
like an enable button and.
Or do you wanna have that on the screen all the time?
I'm leery of putting it on the screen
All
to
the
show up
time.
because it will
Could be-
differ,
it'd
and
be-
the perception will be that, well, one of these must be wrong, well.
Yeah, well, they're not gonna
one is-
agree
One is
first place.
calculated, one is actually derived from a value that the flow meter gives us directly from its internal, so. One is right and the other is calculated as a backup, but that's my only concern. You
Yeah.
could show them both and just, as long as it's identified.
As long as people know where it is in case there is a problem with that, we can do it. That's.
Is one more of an actual and one more of an average?
No, one is an actual, the meter is an actual, based upon the meter.
Mhm.
The other one is a calculated based upon runtime, and that's presently what you do.
That's what we're doing right now.
That's what you do right now. It's not gonna be as accurate. And it won't be the same number, I can almost guarantee you that. If it's the same number, that's unreal.
So if we're accustomed with the word calculated now, let's use calculated in the future for that one, right?
No,
No?
no, that's the one thing that the village wanted to get away from, was we want actual flow meters. We gotta use the flow meter,
Well, I understand that.
yeah.
But you have both.
You got both, you only
I'm
use
just
the
talking about the
calculated-
name you're gonna use for it.
Oh, okay. The calculated is fine,
Yeah, runtime flow calculated.
yeah.
Yeah.
The other thing, and I don't know if it
You
shows
still
up,
got physical hour meters in the panel too, right?
right.
Okay.
Well, no, I don't, you
Yeah,
got,
it's-
oh, you
yeah,
do?
There's,
Okay.
there's the individual and then
Right,
the
so
pump
there's-
running.
So you can still,
Yeah. Yeah, you can still read it, but it's all gonna show up here. The other question I got is on this report, could we have when both pumps run on there too? We got that?
Like-
Oh, you got it, right there, okay.
Starts and hours.
Okay, okay, good. Now, when you,
I got a quick question. I'm having trouble picking up some of the background conversation there on the speakerphone, but your total 1,000 per day gallons, when that totalizes at the bottom of the sheet, is that actually taking, your numbers that you got 31, 10, 20, 22, is that rounding each day and then adding those, or is that actually totalized flow, if it's 31,212 gallons. Is it adding that 212 as well, or is that just a rounded off flat 31?
So I guess because there's several layers in this, I'm going to give you a more than a yes or no answer. The very first is it is the total that you see there is just accumulating what the database has. So you can say that it kind of has rounding. However, in order to fill the database, the PLC doesn't do rounding. It will just keep adding and adding and adding. So let's say one day you, so we'll take the first two examples. Let's say the first day you technically had 31.5 K gallons come through. That 5 actually, it would be kind of hidden until the next day, whereas that 5K gallons will then be kind of added to the next day, because you don't start each day necessarily at 0 when it comes to flow totals. It is still there, but so it just needs to run another 0.5 K gallons before it gets its first K gallon. So while a day may vary a K gallon, over the longer the time span, it will average out to be right on.
Not average, over the lifespan, in this case 7 days, the 139,000 is exact, plus or minus a half a gallon.
Yeah, so
Well,
Yeah.
I guess, how accurate do you need to be? Is it thousands good enough, or you need to be in the hundreds?
Well, as far as that was kind of where my question went to. Obviously, we're looking at this as a daily flow total and not necessarily going to stand by this report as far as what the built gallons are quarterly. We're still going to go out and make sure that the display on a flow meter is matching, and that the technological wonders of the world haven't somehow misplaced numbers. But I was. As far as thousands go, yes, that's fine. I just wanted to make sure that essentially on this one, we're taking the difference between, I think it says 517 and 511, and that's where you're getting your total 1,000 gallons for the week, and that you're not just adding up, rounded off numbers for 7 days type of thing.
Yeah, the flow meter can be set to give us a pulse like every 1,000 or every 100 or even every gallon if you want it. I think currently we kind of display it as in thousands, but if you need it or want it, we could put a decimal point, so it'd be every 100 gallons and have it. And then the flow meter does all that. So if it's at 50, when it gets another 50, then it gives us a pulse, and we just count up the pulses.
What do you pump that day on average in the winter?
In the winter, on average,
Yeah.
16, 17,000,
And in the summer? How many times?
22,
How much?
22, 25.
Oh, okay. So, I mean, we could put it in hundreds of gallons if you
Yeah,
prefer.
if that makes it easier for you, that's fine.
But the one thing, Josh, I think what your real question is, it's totaling all those gallons that are plus or minus from when you got 31,000, is it rounding up? How does that 31,000, is it always rounding up?
Well,
rounding
it
up?
will be just a pulse, so there won't be no really rounding.
Okay, so.
Because the flow
30
meter retains it all, and it just knows when it hits, if we tell it 1,000 a pulse, it knows when it hits 1,000.
Okay.
And then it clears its count and starts over again.
So the 31,000 is actually 31,000 plus from 0 to 999 gallons.
Yeah.
It could be that out there, but the next day, if it was 31,999 gallons, it'd be 31 on Sunday. As soon as it got the next gallon, it would show 1 on the next day.
Correct.
So it's accumulating and all, and I think that's your question, right, Josh?
Yeah, exactly.
It's accumulating, yeah, and it should be very close to the meter within 1,000 gallons over a month.
Yes.
So,
Because
and
Yeah,
that's the other reason we want to do pulse.
for billing purposes, though, he's still going to come out and read the meter. He's
Well,
not
if he
gonna take
wants to,
anything
but-
off of that.
But if he wants to, but this will give you the same thing. He doesn't have to come out to do anything if he doesn't want to. And this is a report that he would get, and he could just take it off of this and put it in his bill.
I think initially, once he confirms that the numbers here match the flow
Right.
meter, then, you know, that's his call at that point.
Yeah, my feeling, you're probably, once you get used to it and see the, how accurate and everything is, and you probably won't come out very often.
How often do they bill us?
Quarterly.
Oh, quarterly?
If billing on a quarterly basis, this
They'll
is
come out-
gonna mean
they'll come out,
nothing.
yeah, I'm-
Well, quarterly, I was thinking you're billing monthly.
No, on a quarterly, it's insignificant.
Yeah,
So-
it's not, even on a, so,
So we can leave it at a K gallon then, every 1,000.
I think that's reasonable. Is that okay, Josh?
Yeah, I mean, as far as these reports go, thousands are fine. You know, in the long run, if we've got at least hundreds placed on the meter display, that would be kind of nice.
Well, if we're gonna meter display it at 100, then we should do this at 100, shouldn't we? Or doesn't it matter?
I don't think it's really gonna matter.
What's that?
What kind of meg is it?
ABB.
ABB?
Can you do it?
Yeah, I think it's totally configurable. Because I think it just ends up being like a floating decimal point, so once you get up into so many, then it starts giving you a multiplier.
Okay. As long as we can do it, that's, I mean, if that's what Josh wants, that's fine. I do have a question. It says both pumps hours. Is that adding pump 1 and 2?
No, we have an input, or
That sheet right there.
if both inputs are on, then we're calculating starts and runtime of both pumps running on at the same time.
Yeah. Okay, so what you're saying there is that both pumps were running at the same time. They both had 2 starts, and they ran together for 24 hours.
Correct.
That both pumps ran.
I just had them on just constantly over the weekend. So.
Oh,
Yeah, a lot of this is, some of this is just garbage data I just threw in, typed in there, so it's not all application.
well, I don't know if that's, you got. Well, maybe it's just the data you put in there.
Yeah, oh,
Because-
not all of it will make lot
Yeah,
of
because,
sense.
you know, on one day you got 0.3 hours, pump 1 ran, pump 2 ran 0.2 hours, and you got both pumps running at 4.5
Yeah,
hours.
so that was just throwing in numbers.
Just throwing it, okay, good.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
fine.
the way it's set up is, if pump 1's running, pump 1 is accumulating runtime. Pump 2 is running, pump 2 is accumulating runtime. If they are both running at the same time, then both pumps are actually
Okay.
accumulating runtime.
Now, the reason why we have that feature, it's an indication that you've got a clear water problem. So if you have both pumps running, you've got a couple things happening. Either you got a clear water problem, might have a plugged pump, because a lot of times when pumps plug, one pump will run and can't keep up, and the second pump will kick on. And what else could happen? Those are the 2 major things that could happen when both pumps run. So if you, on your daily, you know, you'll be able to pull this up every day, and you can see that if the previous day that you saw both pumps running, you maybe should go out and check the pump station. So. And you'll see it on the flow meter also. You'll see that the flow meter will probably do some things that will, the flows will be a little funky. They go up and come down and so, okay. Okay.
Alright, so Josh, I ran through that very quickly. Is there anything you'd like me to expound upon or go in detail on?
For the most part, it's kind of straightforward, really.
Is there anything else, as far as you see from our contract, that you need? That's not on this information.
Well, again, that was a 20-minute run-through.
I'm just saying, is there anything that you can think of off the top of your head, I don't want, you know, that you need more information?
Essentially, the bottom line of having things reset or refigured, whatever, was to have a flow meter, which we still obviously have to get in, to have totalizing flow will do historic, which I'm assuming going back through that, we've got capability of that. Also, they have a day-to-day totalizer, which I'm pretty sure is that 7A to 7A thing that you're talking about. And then also flow rates and individual and combined run times. So just kind of breezing over that. I mean, that it seems like that was all kind of in there.
Yeah, I'm just going through, I put in the spec exactly what was on our contract, and it looks like all that stuff is covered. Okay. Now I got a question, and this is mainly for Josh and for Stacy. How do they get this data out and to use it? Josh, how do you bill right now? Do you just fill in a bill? You got a spreadsheet, or?
We've just got a pretty simplified Excel sheet that we plug run times in the past calibrations as far as gallons per minute of each pump and put it in there, and the numbers dump out the other end of it.
Okay. If you make a hard copy of this, you just plug in your number? You know, you look at it every month? Pardon me?
Well, I didn't catch your question, Gene.
Well, if, you know, if you can get this report, and you just take the number off the report and plug in your number for billing.
I would assume so, yeah.
Okay, so we don't have to go any further beyond this point to fulfill your needs.
I don't believe so, as long as we can get that data, you know, on that quarterly, you know, select range area there where it's under week right now. If you select it to quarter, I'm assuming that it would all.
Yeah.
Right now it doesn't fully populate because I only have data for 10 days.
You didn't test it for 90 days?
Wow. Yeah, I just got it online on the 10th. I mean, it took me too long to enter this garbage data you see. I mean,
At this point, the billing is on a quarterly basis. Let's assume that somewhere down the road, a year from now, we decide we want to do it on a monthly basis. Are we going to have any trouble adapting this to that?
You just change it to monthly, just click on where monthly versus quarterly.
That would be no problem.
No problem.
Thank you.
Is this sheet that we're staring at actually in Excel, or is that a Word, or what are we looking at here?
this is
I see it's
this is an Access database, Microsoft product. You can print it to a PDF if you want. Are you wanting to actually get at the raw data?
Well, in that window behind you there, I wasn't sure. Oh, XPS. At first I thought it said XLS. I didn't know if we could just export that into an Excel file and essentially totalize and do all the information there. Then there'd sort of be a collaborated report between it, but it doesn't necessarily matter. We can just add a sheet to that and accompany that with the billing, and then everybody's got not only, you know, individualized data, but also the combined as far as what the billing is. So I think we should be good there.
My understanding, and Andrew, tell me, he'll be able to pull this report up for quarterly or monthly, whatever he wants to do, and he can print it off.
Yep. TeamViewer has the ability to kind of network, even though he's going to be, you know, not at the computer. He can actually have, when he clicks print, it will actually access all the printers local as well as his printers too. So he can actually print it off on his printer that's right next to him.
Okay. And as far as TeamViewer, is this set up on his computer right now? Is that how it's done right now? Or what?
Right now he's actually using TeamViewer because he can actually see, he can actually interact. I believe when I send the meeting invites, it's a temporary where as soon as he closes out of it, it'll remove it from his computer. But he can install it permanently if he so chooses.
Okay, you know, I'm not a computer guy at all. How easy is it so that Josh will you help him get TeamViewer set up, Stacy, Greg, or whoever wants it, get the TeamViewer set up? They can do it from any computer, my understanding.
Correct.
And you don't need a high profile computer?
No.
Okay.
No. Yeah.
And you can help them get that set up.
Oh yeah.
And is there a cost for TeamViewer? I think there might be.
They have a free personal use. If you religiously use it like we do, we use it very religiously. So that's why we have a corporate. That's why we paid for it. Plus we get extra bells and whistles because we paid for it. But for just logging on once in a while, personal use is perfectly fine.
Okay.
I mean, if they use it like every hour of every single day, they might investigate the option of upgrading the license.
Okay, so I don't see that to be.
Well, we'll have a registered one for this project.
Oh, we are? Okay. Oh, never mind then.
Yeah, that, right, a registered version
Okay.
is included in the project cost.
And TeamViewer, just so you know, when did that start? Just maybe in the last year or a year and a half, where they went away from the temporary one to a full registered one?
I know LogMeIn forces you to pay for it.
Okay.
Would you need two authorizations so that Josh has one and she also has one? Because this is the village of Palmyra, this is Blue Spring Lake, we're both on the system. Would you need two?
No, they can't be on at the
Subscriptions.
same time, right? That's the limitation, that they can't.
You cannot be on the same time, correct. Yes, you have to get a more expensive license to be able to have many people. But I think if you're both logging into the same computer, you might not have a problem. Because right now, I think our business, we have two abilities, but we can have all like 20 computers looking at the same computer without a problem. It's just if you want to look at more than one computer at a time. So as long as you both are focusing on this computer, one license is good.
I don't see that to be really.
The only kicker is if you both are logged on and someone's also sitting here, all three of you are going to be sharing the mouse, so you'll see the mouse going sporadic because you guys are fighting over each other.
Fight over who
Okay, I see what
controls
you're
what.
So
doing.
there is no
security, obviously.
All right.
So.
Yeah, there's no secrets, meaning like if you're accessing it from your home, if I'm sitting here, I can actually watch you work. Just like right now, Josh is watching us perfectly. He's watching us completely. I can give him control and we can watch him access it. So there's no behind the scenes. You're sharing the same display.
It's by permission though, correct?
Correct. You have to have a TeamViewer. There's two securities right now. One is you have to actually log in using. Here, I'll back up a little bit.
It's the same thing as if I have a computer and I'm a brain dead using it and I don't know what I'm doing, so I call my consultant, we both log in, he can take control of it, he can move the mouse, I can move it, we can both be doing things.
Yes.
All right,
It's TeamViewer. This is the TeamViewer account. Everyone is given kind of like a phone number, you could say. It's your partner ID. It's an ID. That's how computers are known. And then you have two kinds of passwords. There's a temporary password, so you can just, if someone just wants to look at it once, you can give it that password, and then after that, create new password, and they no longer can access this computer. We also have a permanent one, which is the one that Josh or anyone that wants to remotely access this will have, and that will never change. So you have one level of security. In order to get into the system, you have to know the phone number and the password. So that's one level. Second level is once you're in the actual Wonderware here, the SCADA system, it's going to auto log off after whatever we decide, 5, 10, 15 minutes of inactivity. So you have to have the password to get TeamViewer into here to remotely access it. Then you actually have to have the password in order to access anything on this Wonderware. So there's two levels of security.
Okay, let me talk about that, and I'll just talk about Josh's standpoint. Josh will be allowed to come in and view these flow charts and review that spreadsheet and everything like that.
Yes.
And he should have his own password,
Yep.
but he'll not be allowed to make any changes to the system.
Correct. Because right now we are actually
Yeah.
logged in with what the permissions that Josh would have, and he can't access anything. He can't acknowledge alarms. He can't do anything besides look at it or do access reports.
Okay, and he cannot change anything here if we change
Nope.
set points or anything, because I was just asking, we got a transducer here, should we show that on the graphics?
Oh, the level.
Yeah,
This will actually vary based on the transducer as well as you have
I
the.
think what he's saying is the actual transducer.
visual.
A visual of the,
Oh,
The train's hanging in the.
like the
Yeah.
floats.
oh,
Yeah,
okay.
show it so that they know that there's a transducer there.
Okay.
Maybe just tie that up to the what level a little.
Yeah.
Okay. Sounds good.
But and then you won't, Josh won't be able to change any set points or anything.
No, so right now, we're logged in as Josh, and he can't change anything. If I log off and log into the normal permissions, we now can actually, you have the halo showing you can do it, and now you can actually see the set points and change the set points. So you actually have to log in order to access that.
Okay. Okay.
So that whole system essentially, you said whether there's different logins and everything, if, let's say, Greg or whoever logs in at the same time, how does that overage control and the access reports thing work? Because essentially one of the first thoughts was to have a display that was available at any point in time kind of thing. I don't intend that we're going to sit here and stare at it just to see what's going on kind of thing, but going back, I think Jim was the one that brought up as far as having different logins for different, branches of the community here kind of thing. It does do an auto log off at whatever point in time, and it cannot be, or could be, I guess, but at this point is not designed to be a steady background display type of thing as far as statistics.
No, I don't, I think, yes, that's true. It'll log off.
Okay.
So. It's not like a PLC where you got all that at, like your water system. I assume you got a graphics display on your water system.
Yeah, our main control panel, it's essentially just
Yeah.
a continuous running background screen that you can trend into
Yeah.
at any point in time if you want
Yeah,
to, but
it's not made to do that, and I don't think that was ever intended that you could do that, so, cause you're gonna use your computer for other things too.
One more question. Greg Tolmeyer has a smartphone. How? The phone is smart. Greg just carries it. But let's assume that he gets to a point where he wants to access data and do things off his smartphone. Is there anything special he needs to know or do, or anything we have to plan for?
TeamViewer also works on smartphones as well. Obviously it's a much smaller screen, so you have to zoom in quite a few times in order to see stuff. You can still change stuff. It's once again just as if you're sitting at this computer, and we can actually, watch you click on a set point and change a set point.
Can you do a smartphone with an output to a bigger screen? If he's in his office and he has a computer there.
Well, he's got a computer, he can check, he can get
If he
it.
has a computer at home, he can use that,
He
obviously.
can, or in his office or any place he can check in. As long as you
Okay.
got a computer,
And internet. And internet.
yeah, you gotta have internet, but most computers.
Okay.
Yeah, so a smartphone will technically work as a practical matter, it's not easy to get around, and it's got a big screen that,
Yeah.
but as a practical matter, an iPad with a cell plan is just like being there pretty much, cause that's big enough that you can see everything you need.
Okay.
Those cell plans are
Yeah.
pretty cheap.
Kind of what I thought, but I want to ask the question now.
Well, I think that's something we need to talk about, but it doesn't affect Josh.
Okay.
Because I would think where the smartphones will come in handy is on alarms.
Well, Josh has a smartphone too.
Yeah, and I guess he could call in and get that, but is that something you're really interested in, Josh?
I guess only when Greg's in Jamaica.
That's what I asked.
Okay, let's talk about that. Is Josh your backup?
Yes.
Okay, then we should talk about why Josh is on the line, because then, because that's what's, my understanding, and I think what we wanted to set up is that smartphones could be used to view alarms. I didn't anticipate you making set point changes, although it sounds like you can do that. But just as getting alarms and acknowledge alarms, that's can be done. What is that? What do you got to go through to do that?
The team viewer, it's with that. I have a dumb phone myself, so I'm pretty poor with experience talking on it. But it's just like TeamViewer. It's just like what Josh is seeing right now, but on a small phone. And you'll just have to zoom into your, if you want to look at alarms.
Okay, let's go to the alarm sheet, yeah.
So we'll oh yeah, you actually have a smartphone, don't you? So what you can do, if you're on the overview, all alarms are down here. All the current alarms will be down here, and so you can easily zoom in there. Otherwise, you have this a little alarm section over here. You can see the alarm summary, which is pretty much a blown-up version of down here, which is just showing the current alarms. You also have alarm history, so you can see all the alarms that have been occurring over however long you want to designate.
Harold, can you generate an alarm?
Okay. Let me ask, what can Josh get into the alarms? Can he see the alarms?
With his current permission, he can only see down here.
He can only, so he can see the alarm.
He will see this screen, which has the alarms down here. He will not be able to acknowledge an alarm at the moment.
Okay, so you can see you got alarm on the main lift station. It'll blink, tell you got alarm.
Yep. So you'll see that the alarm down here is unacknowledged. What that means is it's going to keep blinking, the alarm horn's going to keep going off. You will get called out on the dialer. You will be called out with this because it's dialer enabled. You'll be getting called out on channel 2. So then you'll get called out on your phone. Because you only have 4-channel dialer, the message on the dialer is actually going to be it's going to be kind of vague. It's not going to say main pump station high level transducer. But you will then be able to, since you got called out on your smartphone, you then can team viewer into here. You can then see the alarm and then make your decision based on that information. You can also acknowledge the alarm here so it doesn't keep calling out. So right now I just acknowledged it. So now it turned blue. It's saying it's acknowledged. It's still an alarm, but right now it's no longer going to keep calling out to people.
And it won't call out again after a set period of time? Let's say it's not taken care of. Will it call out again, or will it not call out?
If you've acknowledged it here,
Yeah.
it's going to no longer call out.
So basically, just for daily use, it's no matter how complicated it looks, for all intents and purposes, it's still going to be a basic dialer system where if you put 4 different numbers in it, number 1 doesn't acknowledge it, okay, number 2 doesn't acknowledge it, so phone call number 1 goes out, it's unanswered, okay?
Yep.
Phone call number 2 goes out, it's unanswered. Phone call number 3 goes out to another person, that one's answered. Then that person can figure out what that person, if he wants to basically drive down to the station, do whatever. So when this is all said and done and working, we need to come up with like 4 different phone numbers in an order of what you want it to call. So then let's just say you would put Josh, and we'll talk about it amongst ourselves before this is all done, but you might put him as, to make it easy as we can, put him as the 4th phone number. So if I don't get it, the next guy doesn't get it, the 3rd guy doesn't get it, then hopefully the 4th line of, okay, let's go see what's wrong, he would get it. So in the event of my being out of town or whatever.
As it sits right now, yeah, so and the numbers, the times are default, and then they can be, reprogrammed. But so alarm comes in. If nobody's at the computer, nobody hits that acknowledge button. There's a delay right up the top. So it waits that delay for basically allow you somebody. So you put like 2 minutes in or whatever. So that, or whatever time you want in there. So if somebody's sitting at the computer, they can acknowledge it so it doesn't go out to the dialer.
Because you guys got to realize, this computer is not going to be at a wastewater treatment plant. It's
I know. I'm just saying that this
it's
is how
probably never going to be acknowledged because it's not going to, depending on where it's located.
So as soon as the alarm times out, it goes to the dialer. The dialer acknowledges it, or sees the alarm, calls up phone number 1. If nobody answers or acknowledges that phone number, then it waits 2 minutes, then it goes to phone number 2. And like I say, that 2 minutes, that's all programmable. That's just default.
Right. Okay.
Okay. If it goes all the way down to, let's say it goes through the whole, whatever you have, four numbers in there. Nobody goes to 4, it starts back over number 1 again.
Okay.
Okay, someplace along, someone acknowledges it. By hitting 9 on their phone, the thing will say now acknowledge goodbye.
Right, okay.
Okay, the person goes back to bed. Basically, 1 hour later, that will clear itself and restart the whole process all over again.
So it will require, let's
Yes.
say, and this is not unusual, somebody gets a call at night, they realize, well, I gotta go down there, but don't have to go down there I don't have to jump out of bed right now and go down
No.
there maybe in half hour. So they go back to bed and they actually don't wake up for a while. It will call out in an hour or whatever it is.
Now, the difference here is now, so if that person comes in to the office and hits that acknowledgement there, then the dialer is done for. Until that alarm clears and comes back again.
Right,
So-
okay.
So yeah, there's 2 acknowledges. One's on the dialer, which will, if you don't do anything, it will then an hour later call you again. Whereas once you acknowledge it here on this computer,
It goes away.
it's gone.
Yeah, it's not gonna re-notify
And
you.
that acknowledgement on the computer could be from your home computer.
Yep.
Correct.
Doesn't have to be down there at the site.
Will the system accumulate a record of all of these
Oh, yes.
situations?
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
It stays in there,
stays-
okay.
It stays in there. You'll have, see, right here's a record.
Now, where does all this data that's in there get backed up when this thing blows up because of a explosion?
Actually, you guys purchased a external hard drive. So, well, right now, all of it's getting locally stored on your computer.
Okay,
But you also have an external hard drive, so it's actually backing up the computer. So you'll have a copy on your computer, and then you'll have a backup on a little external hard drive. And so you will have 2 copies of the data. So if your computer dies, you then can take the little external hard drive, plug it into another computer, all your stuff's still there.
So what's your,
Let me ask you a question, because it has to deal with the password for Josh. If Josh is the backup person, he's still got the same access code. It calls him out. Will he, with his access code, will he be able to acknowledge alarm remotely with either his cell phone or a computer?
With his current permissions, he cannot acknowledge the alarm.
I thought if he was on the phone, if he was one of the phone numbers,
I can't do it while he's in a meeting.
Oh, gotcha.
If he's on the phone numbers,
Yeah, until we cancel the meeting out, then I can log in.
He can, if he gets called, he'll acknowledge it on the dialer, but he won't acknowledge the system. We can add permissions so he can acknowledge it on the system, but with his current permissions, he cannot.
so you could give that little tweak so he could acknowledge it.
Yes. Yep.
And I guess that's a question up for you, that's why we're having these meetings, because if Josh is the backup, I would assume that you'd probably want, well, maybe go back to what Greg said. Anybody on the dialer, anybody that's got a phone number on the dialer,
could
they have
acknowledge
to
it
have
for that
special
hour.
permission?
For that hour, right?
Yes, that's,
That's what I'm saying, so let's just say, because of the board, there's a whole lot we have to talk about right not this minute, but so he at least, say he's the 4th number on the phone chain. He can at least, he's got that, he can acknowledge it on the phone, okay, I got this, Greg's gone. He's got that hour to go down physically to the lift station and figure out what's wrong.
yes. I mean, as soon as that dialer calls them,
Right.
at the end of its message, whatever, and we gotta talk about that too before we go, that's how you wanna configure it, because you have 4 channels on this dialer, how you want that configured, but, so it gives you whatever notification it is, and then you're gonna hear a warble sound, and right after that, you hit your 9, then the thing will say, alarm acknowledged. So, and there is no, you don't have to log in your password, it's just, you hit the 9, it's acknowledged. Or, the other option is that you got the call, and then you call it, then it goes through the same thing, and it'll go through the status of it, and you hit 9, and then acknowledge it that way.
And Josh could do that with his present permission like this?
Yeah, it has no bearing,
there's
the dialer has
no
no bearing
bearing
on
on
it.
it. That's what I wanted.
It's-
There's no software involved
Yeah,
with that.
it's-
That's all
Okay,
hardware.
that's
The
just
the
how-
dialer and the computer are 2 separate entities at this
Yeah.
point.
Yeah, we don't have software.
Yeah. See, would we get alarmed if the computer's down or the computer's off?
Yes.
Yeah. The computer is just a window into it. It's just an interface.
So if the computer is shut off, or let's say it's unplugged, it isn't working,
Yep.
we still get the alarm. So
If
that-
you will get, the only thing you lose if you lose the computer is trending and historicals. That's during the time period of which it is off. Once the computer's back up and running, you'll get your trends, you get your historicals, but all the alarms, all that is in that PLC over there. That's the brain of it. This just allows you to make sense of what's going on in that panel.
Yeah. And the reason why we do it like that, computers will fail. And you're gonna have downtime on computers, and that way the PLCs are a lot more reliable. We very seldom do they fail.
Josh,
Mm-hmm.
are you on Charter on your system?
For internet?
Your internet, yes.
Yes.
Okay. What if the internet goes, what if our internet goes down and we have no Charter, we have no whatever? What happens then?
You still get alarms through the
You,
dial.
you still get alarms, you just won't, you cannot pull up the data.
You get an alarm through the dial.
Yeah.
Will the data be lost?
No,
No, this is local.
no. Just that you cannot access it at that point in time.
No, I'm more concerned with, let's assume that the internet's totally down and we have a power failure. Is
What
data
data?
going to continue to accumulate?
What data are you